Welcome to Crafting on the Plains. My name is Jacinta and this is my channel mostly about counter cross stitch, but also occasionally about other crafts that I get up to, like knitting, sewing, quilting, etc. Those will be towards the end though if you're not interested in them. So I wanted to start out by saying thank you so much to everyone who is taking time to watch this. Thank you so much to my subscribers. Thank you to my returning viewers, and welcome if you are a new viewer. Thank you so much for checking me out. I have had a crazy few weeks. I think I say that every time, but yeah, I had some, if you watched my last video, I had some challenges that I'd set for myself, and yeah, I tried to keep up the best I could, but there were some things that got dropped. I just really underestimated what my kind of second part of May would look like. I had my daughter graduated kindergarten, which I cannot believe that I have a first grader. I am sort of struggling with that, but it's okay. And yeah, we finished classes at the university where I teach. So, but there's still a lot to do in the summertime with my other work and everything. So yeah, it's just been really busy, and trying to get back into the swing of things and create a new routine for summer, and all of that has been very busy. Yeah, so I haven't, speaking of that, thank you so much everybody who left me comments kind of commiserating and offering help with my pattern keeper debacle that I had at the last video, and also those of you who commented on giving me suggestions for which shawl I should start. I haven't responded to any comments. I've just been so busy. I'm planning on going in tonight and doing those while I'm like waiting on this one to upload. But yeah, I did read them. I saw them. I read them on my phone, and I am planning on going in and responding. So thank you everybody who did give me suggestions, give me vote on your favorite shawl. I haven't started the shawl, but yeah. So I've been really busy, but I know that the next few weeks after this are going to be even busier. So I felt like, okay, I have a couple hours. Let's just go ahead and film a Flosstube and give you guys an update so that I'm not away too long. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump in. The first thing that I have been working on is, I mentioned in my last couple videos that I've been doing a Giard Italia stitch. So you stitch a stitch for every, I think, kilometer that they bike for the Giard Italia. And I had a plan that got derailed because of my pattern keeper situation. I explained all that last video, but the one I am doing is the Dimensions Gold Collection Wind Moon Fairy. And I started this last June, so it's almost a year old. I started this with my friend Caroline from Caroline's Stitch Corner, and I don't know, I haven't seen her working on this, but we started this together. It was so much fun. And I've actually done quite a bit. I fell behind. I have not caught up. I've done 1,457 stitches. So 1,457 stitches. And I will post a picture of where it was the last time I showed you. And here is where it is. And I'll also post a picture of what it looked like when I started. So I've done a total of the 1,400 stitches since the last video. That's not total. So I need to show you guys at some point like a total amount. But yeah, here is where it is. I fell behind, got caught back up, and then fell behind again and have not caught back up. So I don't know that I'm going to stitch the full Giard Italia on this one, just because I've been so busy. Yeah, like I said, we had kindergarten graduation. My daughter had 2 recitals. She had a dance recital and a dance rehearsal, and then she had her piano recital. All really fun stuff. I had graduation at my school, of course, and it's just been a lot. It's been a lot of stuff. So I just haven't. And there's been some days, honestly, let me know if anyone else feels this way. There's been some days that I have just come home and just doom scrolled. Instead of stitching, instead of knitting, doom scrolled. And I realized that I was doing that, and I have started to try to get out of it. Even if I just put in a couple stitches or put in a couple rounds of something knitting, it's better than just like scrolling mindlessly and probably getting stressed out. So that's where I've been at. But here I am. I've done quite a bit. So I've now gotten all the way down to this corner. which is awesome. And then I've added a lot in this area, kind of her dress. And the halfway point is actually, I think, about right here-ish. I think that's about halfway-ish, maybe a little bit, kind of like that. So, and then I think about here is the halfway up. So I've almost got a quarter of this project stitched, and I'm very, very excited about that. I want to get a quarter of this project stitched this year. I would love to get more, because that means I've only stitched a quarter of a project in like a year and a half. But yeah, I think that's nice. I haven't done any back stitching in this challenge because I wasn't sure how to count the back stitches. So, but I do love her. I also realized if you're interested in her and you don't want to do all of this back, this is all half stitches, the whole background. I'm doing it because I didn't think of this. And I wanted to use all kit everything. So I'm using the kit Ada. But you could just get a printed linen, or Ada if you prefer Ada, but just get a printed, like, or hand dyed one that's got swirlies, and then just stitch, you know, the girl and the cat and the leaves and everything. And I think that would still look stunning. So I'm not going to do that because I'm already here. And I also find doing these half stitches in the background kind of fun and like cathartic because it's very just repetitive, but you could definitely do that and it would cut down a lot of the project. So in case you've thought about this one but you've been intimidated, that might be what I would do if I was going to restart this. The next pattern that I have been working on is Stars by Plum Street Samplers, and I stitched on this all of Memorial Day weekend. I think I started stitching on it on Friday of Memorial Day weekend, which was last weekend, and then I stitched through Memorial Day Monday, and I got quite a bit done. This I actually started Memorial Day weekend of last year when I was at a retreat, and I'll just show you where I am and then I'll kind of explain it. But here is where I am at, and I wish I had a prior photo to show you the progress because I got a lot done. This piece, I had planned on completing it last summer. However, I ran into a couple issues. Number one, I really underestimated how big this piece is. This is on 36 count and it's pretty large. Like, it's because this is finished as a pillow, I was thinking it was going to be like that, right? And it's a bit bigger. And so then I realized I didn't want to be a pillow finish, and it's an odd size to frame. And so it was just more stitching than I planned. I really thought I could knock this out in a couple weeks and just be done. And it's more stitching and it's more complex, which it's a Plum Street, so I should have known, right? But they're always deceptive. But it's more complex than I had thought it was. And so I just really got a little bit demotivated. And then I also made a lot of counting errors on this piece as well. I just had some issues with it and ended up putting it away at some point last summer. I think after the 4th of July, I just was like, I can't force myself to work on this anymore. Like, it needs a break. So I brought it out, I think maybe once or twice since then, just in like whip wheel rotation, stuff like that. And it is so pretty. I'm getting through it. That barn house, whatever it is a lot. I finished the front side of it, and then I started doing down here. There's going to be like grass fill in, and I felt like if I didn't start working on at least putting in these motifs, that it was going to be a lot when I got towards the end. I also have a few colors that I'm missing. This is a full personal conversion. Like, I just converted it, but I just used random stuff from my stash, and some things didn't work, and so I just switched them out, pulled them, replace them with other things. And so kind of making it up as I go. And there's a few colors that are like, and they're just DMC. So I think I just need to buy them, but there's a few colors that are like light shades of DMC that are in this star and then in these stars. And I need to just pick those up at some point because I don't think I'm going to find a good substitution. But there it is. I'm modifying this pattern. So I'm stitching this besides my full personal conversion. I'm stitching this on a 36 count sand by Picture This Plus. And I am also, this over here has a part that says stars. That band, I'm not doing that. First off, I don't think I can bring myself to stitch all of that solid because it's all full coverage. That part of it. And after doing this house, I just don't think I can do it. I just don't think that I can bring myself to do that. I like it without it actually. And this piece had a companion set that went with it that came out by Shakespeare's Peddler that was called And Stripes. So stars and stripes. And I think they use the same kind of flosses. And so you would stitch all three and then you could display them in a little dough bowl or something like that. I've decided I'm not going to do And Stripes. I don't own it. I didn't buy it yet. And not that I don't think And Stripes is so adorable, but I'm not going to finish this as a pillow. I think I'm going to do it on some type of a wooden backing board situation. And because I pick my own colors, some of these flosses were like limited editions. Some of them were just left. I mean, some of them are random stuff that is like, I don't know that I could get all of these and they'd be similar enough dye lots that And Stripes would look cohesive. It would just look, So I just decided I'm going to omit the stripes part and then I'll just have the barn house, whatever it is, and all the cute stuff around it, and that will be fine. And then I'll finish it on some kind of a backer board. So there it is. I did really enjoy this. My goal is to have this finished by Labor Day weekend in the US. So I would like to continue stitching it throughout the summer. It would be great to get it done by 4th of July, but I have a really busy June coming up. And so I just don't think that I can guarantee that I can sit down and work on this in addition to other stuff I want to work on, in addition to just everything else I've got going on. So my goal is to have it finished this summer. And yeah, so that is the plan. But this was quite fun to work on. It was really nice to spend a long weekend focusing on one project. So my next project is one that I started fairly recently. I don't have any new starts in this video, but I will hopefully have some coming up very soon. I've got a lot of new starts planned, but I've been just wanting to get some whips worked on. I've kind of taken a new start break for a little bit, but this is Rejoice Evermore, and this is by Brenda Gervais. This was my Easter start. So I started this Easter of 2025, so this year. And here is where I am. I still have not moved my Q-snap. I am using the Evertotes kit conversion. So I bought my pattern, my fabric. This is their fabric in, I think, porcelain. I bought this from Evertotes, and then I got all of the Roxy flosses, which are very tingled, but they're beautiful. So I've really been enjoying this. I will say that if you buy the Evertotes conversion, I think Helen D is the person who they created the conversion off of her conversion, and she stitched it on 40 count. And so I think that some of the flosses would be showing up better over one if I was stitching this on 40 count instead of 36. And I didn't know that. I mean, I knew she stitched on 40 count, but I didn't think it would make that much of a difference, and it seems like it is. So I'm kind of stitching this combination of 1/1 and 2, or 1/2 and 2/2. I don't think it looks bad, but just to get it to show up. And what I did the most recently is I've just kind of continued working on these little berries. I've added a little bit more in here, just doing some fill-in, and then I've started working on this next band down here. So this here is basically one page, And I'm going to try to get this first page completed before I put this project away. And then I'll kind of rotate it out and start working on some other projects. But I'm trying to keep this, I kind of have where I keep all of my active whips in one spot, which is like near my bed. And then I keep all of my whips that I'm not presently like pulling out on a regular basis. I try to keep those like in the craft room, laundry room, everything spare room. And so before I put this, retire it over there, I want to get at least the first page finished. The only thing I'm not sure about, and anyone who has stitched this, let me know what you did, because there are, I don't know if they're satin stitches. Yeah, satin stitches. So you're not gonna be able to see. Maybe you can. So here, these bits, yeah, along these lines there's these little like satin stitch kind of triangle things, and I am not sure if I want to go ahead and stitch those like with the page, so start stitching them across here and then move my Q-step, or if I want to do the satin stitches at the complete end and go back in and do them. But I still need to put it in a hoop or a Q-snap and move it around. I don't know. How did y'all do the satin stitches? Those of you who stitched this before, please let me know. Or how would you do them if you haven't stitched this? Would you just do them page by page and just figure they'll be fine in the Q-snap or the hoop? Or would you wait to do them to the very end? I also am changing a couple of the colors, not from the conversion, but like this bird was stitched in a color that just was not showing up on this fabric at all. So I just pulled one of the other blues from the floss pack, and I'll just save that color for another project, and I'll just use this blue. So I'm sort of taking some liberties when I feel like it's appropriate to switch out a color, but I'm just using all of the original like flosses that came with the kit. I hope that makes sense. My last cross stitch project that I have been working on is one that I just pulled out last night. I had not planned on working on it recently, but I did the thing where I said, okay, I'm not going to doom scroll. I'm not going to doom scroll. I'm not just going to sit here and stare at my phone for hours. I need to pick a project and work on it. And something told me that I wanted to do beading. And so I pulled out Nora Corbett Moonglow. I do think part of this was inspired by Stephanie from Cross Stitch the Globe. She just finished her Moonglow and it looks incredible. Her Moonglow is gorgeous. She did a really interesting fabric choice and I love her fabric choice. Definitely check out her Moonglow. Beautiful, beautiful. But I picked a little bit of a safer fabric choice than she did, but I thought, okay, I want to do some beading. And I'm going to pull up Moonglow. This is a project I would really, really like to finish. I don't have a deadline, but definitely this year, if not earlier, like maybe end of summer, fall time. I really want to get this done. This was my birthday start for 2023. So my birthday is at the very end of the year. It's late December. So it was almost essentially a 2024 start, but it was technically at the very last few days of 2023. And so that does make it a little bit of an older project for me. So I really want to get done. I also have another Nora that's in progress that I want to focus on, and I don't want to have this one lingering. So I am stitching this on a 32 count mint by Fiber and a Whim. And I have this on a scroll frame I got from Amazon. I'm really loving it. And I am using the cross stitch spells conversion. Sorry about that. I heard the door and I thought it was my husband and my daughter coming back, but it wasn't. And then I accidentally stopped the video. So there might be some splicing that happens. But as I was saying, I was doing the cross stitch spells. I'm doing the cross stitch spells conversion where she subbed out some of the Karen water lilies to DMC variegated, which is really great. This pattern calls for a lot of water lilies, water lilies. It's a hard thing to say for some reason, water lilies. So if you're looking to save a little bit of money, might be a good option. So I started doing the beading. I have done all of the beads in this little blanket thing that she's got. And I also did some stitching on this plant thing here. And this one I'm beading as I go. I did not bead as I went on this side because I was using a hoop at that time, but I am beading as I go on this side. And I will say this pattern has a couple interesting things with the beads. And I don't know if it's just that the photography on the pattern photo is a little bit off or something, but these beads, I talked about this last time, these beads look white on here. They look white. And then these beads here look like pinkish white, and they're blue. They're like baby blue. I actually thought about subbing these out, but I didn't have anything else I wanted to sub them for, so I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it. And it looks good, it looks fine, but it's just not what I was expecting, right? And I looked everywhere to see if there's like an errata, because these beads are definitely super different. Like this one, I think you could leave up to photography, like maybe that is blue. It's just not super clear. But this one, I mean, these are like midnight blue instead of white. So I try to look everywhere to see if there's like an errata or some type of explanation. Have not found it. So I don't know. But I still think it looks good. I actually like these dark ones better on here than the light colored, and I'm okay with this blue as well. Again, it wasn't what I was expecting, but it's growing on me as I was beading it. So I mostly did beading. I did do a little bit of stitching just on this plant, but I really felt like doing beading. Beading is something I find very satisfying and comforting and fun. So I was really excited to work on that. So I just wanted to do some beading, and my goal is to get this to where I can like get everything done here and then roll it down on the scroll frame so I can do the top. I do need to restitch this a bit because it's too blue here. Stephanie actually shared with me some of her water lilies, so I'm hoping that that will look better. And yeah, but I am super happy with how this is coming along, and I'm going to try to pull it out more frequently. This has been a stitch that I work on every full moon, but I would like to do it maybe a little bit more often just to get it to a finish. Okay, that concludes all of my cross stitch. If you are just here for the cross stitch, I really appreciate you stopping by. Please consider liking this video and subscribing. I would love it if you would do that. I super appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one. But if you are here for the knitting and other content, I've got some knitting that I'm going to show you, a little bit of knitting, and I've got some quilting. So super exciting. So I'm going to jump right into that. So my knitting is, I'm still using this Christmas bag just because I need to dig out my other sock bag. But I finished some socks I showed you guys last time that just needed the toes Kitchenered. So I'm knitting some socks for my daughter. I love to have a pair of socks just always on the go, especially during like summertime or seasons where we're doing a lot of just maybe traveling or road trips or like just going a lot of places. And I love to have socks just as a little thing to do with my hands. So this, I have no idea where this yarn is from. No earthly idea. I've had it for forever. It's really messy. I let my daughter pick out a couple scraps because I'm going to make her some little socks. So I have no pattern for this. I just cast it on a certain amount of stitches. I think I cast it on like 52 stitches or 54 stitches, something like that. And then I've just been going around, and I just got into this part. I wanted to get started on the main body of the socks so I could just do some rounds and rounds and rounds without thinking. And these are probably going to be shorter socks because I don't have a lot of this leftover yarn left. So anyway, I'm also stitching these on Chiaogu fixed circulars, magic loop style, and I'm doing, these are Chiaogu size US 1s. So that's the way I knit all my socks. I did share a really good beginner sock pattern in my last video. So if you're looking for a beginner sock pattern, because these I'm just making up, I've been knitting socks for like 10 years. So I just can make it up at this point. But if you are looking for a really good beginner sock pattern, check it out. I talked about one in my last video. I think it's called the Sweet Vanilla socks. Those are the ones I would definitely recommend if you are brand new to sock knitting. So that's my knitting. I've been working on a couple other little things, but nothing with major progress. I have not started my shawl yet. I had planned on it, but it's just been too busy. And so hopefully I'll get it done in the next few episodes. I've got a couple things I'm trying to get off my needles that just need little things done to them before I start something big and new. So now I've got a quilt project to show. And this one I've showed before, but it's been a really long time. So this I'm keeping in this like Dollar Tree tote. This is how I organize all of my quilt projects pretty much, or like bigger sewing projects. So I've got, this is a quilt I'm making it myself, and I kind of wish I hadn't. I had a really specific plan in mind, but I think I've ended up buying a lot more fabric, spending a lot more money on fabric than I would have if I had just bought a pattern and not tried to figure something out myself, because I think that there's been a lot of times where I've realized I didn't have enough fabric and I needed to buy some more and like whatever. So it's fine. So I am using the Blossom and Grow fabric by Studio E, and unfortunately, so it's the one that's got all of these, it's like these rainbows. Is that the right side even? No, it's got these rainbows, and it's got yeah, a lot of these little flower, very pastel, very cute. You can still find this. A lot of smaller quilt shops, I don't think Fat Quarter Shop has this, but I think a lot of smaller quilt shops have it. Sorry if there's a lot of road noise. I think a lot of smaller quilt shops still have it. I actually just bought my backing fabric because I realized I had forgotten to buy backing for this. Panic ordered some backing because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to run out of this thing. What I would do is I wouldn't buy backing in the main like fabric line, because I would just go to Joann's and get a backing that coordinated and looked good, because it's the back, right? It just doesn't, whatever. But that's not an option anymore. And I didn't want to get something order offline that turned out I didn't like or didn't look good or whatever. So here we are. It's going to be fine. So yeah. So I have been working on this, and I have got all my blocks sewn together, and I'm in the process of doing the sashing. So let me just show you these blocks. So this line had a quilt panel, a project panel that came with it, and it had all these little squares that said like cute little motivational sayings. So like this one says, believe in yourself, right? And I wanted to do sawtooth stars with the blocks, the quilt block or panel blocks, whatever, in the middle. So that's what I did. And so I just used like a sawtooth star calculator, just Googled it. And then I figured out, okay, the size of there's like fuzz everywhere. I think my cat laid on this. But I just figured out the dimensions of the inner block. And then based on that, it told me how much to cut for the other pieces, essentially. So this is going to be, I think, a 16, like a 4x4 square quilt. It's for my daughter. I think I already said that. So here's this one. As you can see, I've got the sashing for this side, the horizontal sashing sewn on. And I'm not going to show you all these because, like I said, there's 16, and so that's a lot. But here's another one that says Stay a Little Wild. And all the sashing, I'm using this print. Again, I was going to go to Joann's and buy like a cheaper one and have it all be the same, but is what it is. Gather Memories. I love these little bunnies. And I love this one so much. And as you can see, these things were not square. So I did my best, but sometimes they do not look perfectly square. It is what it is. Also, some of my points are cut off. Some of them, like that one's fine, but this one's not. So this this is not my like best quilt work, but I actually had not done a quilt in quite a long time, and I just kind of started winging it. And yeah, like my first few blocks, I had forgotten how to trim the flying geese for the points. So I didn't leave, like here I have plenty of room. You can see I left plenty of room so that theoretically, I should be able to sew this with the seam allowance and have it be perfect points. Like that should work out, right? But some of these I didn't do that because I forgot. I forgot. And that's sort of the problem with like not using a pattern, is that sometimes there's little things that you just have to know. And if you're not quilting all the time, you can forget. So there's those. I'm so excited to have these. And then what I'm doing now is I am using, I think I'm going to use the rainbow as the vertical sashing, and I've been cutting little pieces into little squares that I've now lost, to be like the corner blocks, or the corner stones. Yeah. So that is the plan. I do not know what I'm going to bind it with. That's a problem for future Jacinta. This has been a very hectic quilt project, which is probably why it's taking me so long. Well, that's a lie. All my quilt projects take me a long time. But I am determined. My daughter said she wants to be sleeping under this by the end of July. And I told her I could try. So that is my goal. I don't know how long my long arm quilter will take. I say my long arm quilter. I've taken a quilt to her one time, but I thought it was a really good deal. I loved her. So, I don't know how long the long arm quilter will take with it. It just depends on how busy she is. But my goal is to at least have this sent to the long arm quilter by the end of July. And then hopefully we'll get it done. So maybe by the fall she can have this thing. So there's my quilt progress. Just wanted to add that in because I hadn't talked about it and I have been working on it. That is everything I have got. I would love to know if you made it this far in the video. Please let me know what project you are currently stitching on or have most recently stitched on. I would love to know that. I'd also love to know if you're planning on starting anything new, because it's May 30th, which means that tomorrow the first day of June? That feels wrong. No. Sunday's the first day of June. So are you going to be starting anything new in June? I would love to know. What are you stitching now? And are you starting anything new in June? Or are you just going to keep rolling with your whips? I would love to know. Thank you so much for spending time with me, for checking me out, and for watching this far. I really appreciate all of you. I hope you guys have a great next few weeks and you get lots of crafting time in.